alaikum, everybody. So we're back. My name's Nasser.
And my name is Safiya.
And today we're going to read some more out of Sheikh Mohammad bin Rashid's books that were very, very, very entertaining for us the last week.
So this time we decided to read them in English.
Last time we did Arabic. This time we'll go for some English. And we decided to read 3 books instead of 2. So to start with, let's start with a bit of a favorite of mine. Camping with Scorpions. Once again, the artwork, fascinating. And we'll be just showing you the artwork here and there, again and again. So, as a young boy, I dreamed about mastering the skills of the desert. I asked my father, when can I learn to hunt? His answer was fast, and with a glint in his eye, he sent me deep into the desert, far, far away from the sea. I stayed with his friend Hamid, who is a hunting expert.
When I arrived at Hamid's farm, I could feel that the desert was also part of his family. His farm had camels, sheep, hogs, and hunting dogs too.
This is what Hamid looks like in the desert. I noticed that his wife was incredibly strong, carrying firewood, creating delicious meals, and making traditional Arabic coffee, as well as being as skilled as any hunter you could imagine. Here's Hamid's wife. Of course, one of the delicacies I enjoy from the United Arab Emirates, from our culture, is Arabic coffee specifically.
Sometimes Hamid's wife would make delicious soft gurs, a special kind of sweet bread that is cooked buried in sand under the ashes of the fire. We ate it hot from the ground with dates and honey. Such warm, fluffy, sweet deliciousness.
So I've never had
this bread
before, this gurs, but looking at this family just joined around the campfire, a sweet bread with some dates and honey. I think I would enjoy that. Have you had any gur before?
Gurs, by the way. It's
gurs. All right.
Yes.
So we just, yeah, okay. Gurs. So gurs we have had before. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I stayed with Hamid's family for several days, and every day there was something to learn. The desert was my school, and I was the student. Hamid taught me the art of falconry. I learned how to train the birds with tilwa, a technique that uses specific arm movements and bait to teach falcons to return to you. There he is, Sheikh Mohammad bin Rashid as a child, training the falcons with the tilwa.
I also learned how to care for these amazing creatures and keep them safe by holding them up high on my arm.
Beautiful falcons. I've never had a lot of experience with falcons, but if you'll remember from our stories the last week, Sheikh Mohammed's mother was very good at taking care of all little animals, deers, and horses, and I'm sure falcons too. And part of life in the desert is learning to live with the animals.
And falcons specifically.
Yes. I studied other desert animals as well, closely watching their movements. I learned how they would protect themselves by hiding from other dangerous animals. We have our deer again. Beautiful.
One night, we heard a lot of noise from where the sheep were resting. A huge wolf had tracked them down and was about to tuck into a hearty sheep dinner. Just then, as quick as a flash, Humayd's guard dogs leaped to the rescue, chasing away the wolves.
There we go. The dogs saving the sheep, leaping to the rescue. Get away, little wolves. This is not time for a sheep dinner. It was one thrilling adventure after the next. However, I was soon to learn that it is not just the big creatures like wolves that we need to watch out for. Yeah. I wonder what else you need to watch out for in the desert.
After our action-filled day, we would gather around the fire to keep warm and eat our hard-earned dinner. With our tummies full of food and our heads full of adventure, we would sleep deeply in our warm beds. Well, everyone but me. We soon know why.
There they are at the campfire. It's getting dark. They've eaten. And everyone but Sheikh Mohammad is ready to go sleep. What's happening, I wonder? In the night, I was woken by a searing pain. Ouch! It was a scorpion sting. Hamid gave me herbal remedies to help with the pain, but this happened more than once. It seems the scorpions were also looking for a warm place in the cool night. But of all the warm beds to crawl into, why were they only bothering me?
We wonder why.
Wonder why. I've never been stung by a scorpion, but I've been stung by a fair share of bees and ants and other bugs. What about you, Sophia?
Me too. I already have two from our trip. It seems I was not checking my bed covers for bugs before bed. This is an important desert lesson that I learned the hard way. I realized that Hamid was putting the scorpions in my bed to teach me this lesson and make me strong against scorpion stings in the future.
Here's Hamid. He looks pretty happy with himself. You know, you might wonder if that is a good thing or a bad thing to do, but sometimes to teach lessons, you must teach them the hard way.
I believe so too.
When I got home, I told my father about how Hamid made me sleep with the scorpions. He laughed with that same glint in his eye. I knew Hamid would teach you everything about the desert. From that day on, I would think twice before asking my father if I could learn new skills. And so it is important to think twice, absolutely. So, Camping with Scorpions by Sheikh Mohammad bin Rashid Al Maktoum. What a beautiful story about learning lessons the hard way, learning life in the desert, learning to coexist with the friends and animals that can help us and harm us.
Exactly.
Right? So kids, before you go to bed, check your beds for bed bugs, right?
Yes, that's an important lesson to learn.
So Sophia, what's our next story for today?
So our next story for today is My Cave of Treasures. Let's start reading this book. One day I'll have a space of my own. That's what I thought as I looked around our huge house. My father has a room of everything. He has a place to relax with his friends all day, and he has rooms for all of his hobbies. One day I will too.
Stickers. We need to make use of those stickers.
Yes, that's one.
And here is Sheikh Mohammed's father and his friends just hanging out in one of the rooms, one of the hobby rooms, having coffee.
Probably the Majlis or Diwaniyah.
The Majlis or the Diwaniyah, that's what we call that room. Hang on a minute. What am I waiting for? I work hard all day at school. Why shouldn't I have my own space now? Right? It's a fair question. Why not?
Yeah. In our big house, we have a small room that is tucked away. I have always loved this room. The floor is made entirely of sand and the ceiling slants low with high windows on one side. It's just like a cave, my mini cave. It was perfect.
Hmm. Just an empty room in the house, a little treasure cave, right?
Why not take it as his mini cave?
Have you ever found empty rooms in your house that you use?
No.
Me neither. Me neither. This little room is where my father keeps his equipment for horse riding, fishing, and hunting. It's a room for adventures. Here we see, of course, the horse saddle right there, and the cup and the mandous, or the treasure box as well, with all the things hidden in it. And a radio.
I decided to claim this room as mine. I selected bright colors to paint the walls and I hung up interesting drawings. I spent days gathering treasures from around the house so that my cave had all the things I needed to enjoy my cooking. So you can see Sheikh Mohammed is just collecting stuff and creating his own cave.
And certainly when I've had my own room finally, I definitely made sure I designed it the way I like. Yes, put a personal touch to it, a couple of drawings here and some designs there, and my toys.
Paintings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One afternoon, I heard the door creak and a familiar shadow filled the room. I turned to see my father standing there. His face looked serious. He called out for my mother. Am I in trouble? I thought to myself.
Oops.
Uh-oh. I wonder what happened.
My parents stood at the doorway. Their eyes scanned the place from one side to another. They looked surprised to see that I had transformed the room into my mini cave.
Well, it is an impressive room. He's got a bird cage. He's got all these bits and bobs. That empty room is empty no more.
Shows the creativeness of Sheikh Mohammed since he was a kid and the imagination of kids as well at the same time.
I decorated the rest of the room with more drawings that I had made from family trips to the sea and around the desert. There were shells, ropes, and fishing nets adorning the walls, and special bottles and pots were placed in every corner. There we go, just seashells and pots and fishing nets.
This reminds me, by the way, a lot of my nephew, Omar.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine he would do the same if he had an empty room. So it shows, like the creativeness of little boys and what they do with the things that they collect.
You're talking about Amori, who's 4 years old?
Yes.
Yes.
After noticing all of the details and treasures of my mini cave, my father and mother burst out laughing. What is going on? I thought to myself.
So at least he's not in trouble, or at least I don't think so, right? The serious faces turned into laughter. What happened, I wonder? We have been searching for the perfume, laughed my mother. We thought a thief had stolen them, she said, pointing to the selection of irreplaceable perfumes from around the world.
At least they weren't stolen in the end.
Which reminds us, if you're going to take things from around the house, it's best to ask permission and let people know.
Exactly. I returned the borrowed precious items to their original places in our home. To make up for the treasures that I had to return, my father handed me a stack of notebooks made with special paper.
He is returning the stuff. Glad that he isn't in any trouble, I assume. I filled the books with sketches and facts about all of the animals that I loved to study. I didn't get to keep my amazing perfume collection, but I did transform an ordinary room into my own library. It is a fascinating library indeed. All the sketches on the walls. I see a turtle on top there. I see fish, and what else do I see?
You can see that he had an interest in animals and the zoo and their body organs. Very fascinating.
My Cave of Treasures by Sheikh Mohammad bin Rashid Al Maktoum. A fantastic story about creating your own personal space. And while we're at it, also taking permission and letting people know.
I think this is one important lesson to learn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that was our second story for today. And it reminded us of a dear child to us both, Amar, who has an artistic tinge of his own and will collect things and loves animals.
Loves animals.
And has a terrarium.
Yes, terrarium.
Has a terrarium, which I learned is like an aquarium, but for reptiles, a terrarium.
He teaches us, by the way, stuff. So sometimes we learn from kids.
Well, I will say most times I learn from kids, but sometimes indeed. Okay, so our last story for today, My Friend the Lion. Again, this is from the collection that was put together by Sheikh Mohammad bin Rashid Al Maktoum, a fantastic series of books for children aged 6 to 9, stories from his own life at that same age group, from age 6 to 9.
The group of stories name is My Little World, and it's a really very interesting collection of stories.
Yes, and it is available in Arabic and English. We happened to do our first reading last week in Arabic, and today we continued the readings in English. So it's a group of 5 books, 5 children's stories. So, My Friend the Lion. I wonder what this story is about. So, well, I guess this is worth mentioning. I am loving the artwork there. Can you see these lions in different positions?
And the stickers
and
again.
The stickers that keep falling every time. When will we learn, I wonder? Okay. It had been a fun and tiring day on the family farm. The night was hot and sticky. As I lay in my bed, sleeping soundly, a large shadow filled the room. Here we can see Sheikh Mohammad is probably a bit older than in the previous story.
Suddenly, I woke up with a gasp. I wasn't alone. I blinked my sleepy eyes to see 2 fierce eyes staring back at me. I was nose to nose with a huge furry face. We were so close that I could feel the creature's hot breath on me.
Wow, look at that. Imagine falling asleep and waking up to find yourself nose to nose with a lion. Just a regular night, I guess. Wait, I know this face. This is the friendly lion that lives on our farm. I sighed with relief. I've known this lion since he was a cub, and a familiar, comforting feeling settled on us both. And there we go, just chilling with a lion, chilling in bed with a lion.
I was not afraid, but I was tired. I cannot sleep with this friendly beast panting and puffing next to me on this hot night. That's when I noticed the open window. This must be how he got in.
And of course, you know, our nights can get quite hot and quite sticky because it's very humid sometimes. Memories of this lion flashed through my mind. We had raised him since he was a cub. It was sweet that he remembered me and came to say hello, but I needed to get back to sleep.
So it shows the relationship between animals and, like people. Since he knew him since he was a cub, it was a familiar face. So this is why he did not attack him.
We don't have a lion of our own, but we do have a little cat, a Siamese cat. We called him Coco, and he likes to come in and breathe on our faces when we're sleeping too.
Yeah, I think that's how they make the connection with humans. I showed him the window, signaling with my hands for him to leave. He didn't budge. I showed him the door and pointed again. Still nothing. How can I move this lion?
Look at that. It's a huge lion and he isn't going anywhere.
There must be a reason why he's refusing to leave.
Well, there's only one way to find out. I swung my legs out of bed and I took my first step. The lion stood to attention and fixed his gaze on me. I began to pace the room and thought hard about what to do. Lion out, back to sleep. Lion out, back to sleep. Lion out, back to sleep. This became my marching mantra. Still trying to get the lion out.
I needed a new plan. Nothing was working. If anything, he made himself more comfortable by my side.
Look at that.
There was a problem in communication between the lion and Sheikh Mohammad.
Well, the lion was going to do what the lion was going to do. And Sheikh Mohammad had to figure it out, right? Then it hit me. This king cat had been tracing my tracks the whole time. I move right, he moves right. I step back, he steps back. Where I want him to go, I must go first. As I stopped in the middle of the room, the lion looked at me, waiting for my next move.
So he wanted him to lead him.
Right? Just needed to be led.
I jumped out of my bedroom window onto the soft ground below. Right behind me, out leapt the lion too.
You're jumping out of the room. It looks like we have a successful plan. In the time it took him to circle back around me, I quickly jumped into my bedroom through the window and slammed it shut. There, it was done. What a smart plan. So we got rid of the lion. I wonder if he's going to be able to go back to bed.
Let's see. When solving a problem and it feels like a test, the simplest solution could be the best.
Well,
I like this.
I like that too. Actually, let's read that one more time. When solving a problem and it feels like a test, the simplest solution could be the best.
Sometimes we tend to complicate things when we're trying to figure out a solution for a problem. But again, the simplest solutions could be the best.
They usually are. My Friend, the Lion by Sheikh Mohammad bin Rashid Al.
What a lovely story and what a lovely message.
Lovely stories, lovely messages. And of course, what we wanted to do is to share a bit of our culture, a bit of our stories, perhaps, and to introduce you to a wonderful publication that are a favorite of Umar. We've mentioned our nephew Umar. These are a favorite story of his and his little sister Maria, apparently, as well.
And I think that little boys that age, they can relate to these stories. And it is amazing to put these messages and these, like learnings for kids in interesting stories that they can relate to.
Mhm. And story reading, bedtime story reading, or story reading in general, is an age-old art of parenting and a fantastic positive parenting tool. First of all, it helps put your children to sleep. And as parents, we know sometimes that we can't wait for those kids to go to bed just so that we can have our adult time. So stories are a fantastic way to put them to bed, but also stories have lessons and lessons and lessons, and kids really absorb them. You never know what's going to happen after a story.
Very true. We have them in Arabic, and these are the English ones, and we're planning to give them also to Omar to have both the Arabic and the English version of the books.
Absolutely. So then I guess he can learn the stories in both languages and get a bit of linguistic um, acumen or a bit of language development, let's say. And of course, each one of these books comes with a set of stickers. Okay, so the last story we had, My Friend the Lion, has a couple of interesting stickers. Beautiful little artwork. You can use those to stick them on your school books or whatever, really. I don't know, stickers, right? The Cave of Treasures, we have the perfume set over here. We have Sheikh Rashid, Sheikh Mohammed's father. We have Sheikh Mohammed himself, and a couple of the treasures and the fishnets, and the mandus, of course, the treasure box. And from the book, Camping with Scorpions, some more stickers. All right. Okay. So I guess to bring our session to a close, Sophia, tell us what your favorite story was from the group of five.
From the group of five, I liked the one that we read last time, من يشبهك يا أمي, which would be, I don't know how
Translated to
Yeah.
English would be Who is like you, mom? Or
Exactly.
Who's like you, my mother?
Yes, and to be honest, I loved all the books. They all have a message for kids. Some of them we will relate to more. So, for example, I related to that story more. I think that some kids would relate to the scorpions, the lion, the life in the desert. And this is why the books were written actually, so that it has, like different interests of kids. And there will be a lesson and something to take away from those books. What about you, Nelson? What's your favorite?
So my favorite story was actually the one with the lion, My Friend the Lion.
I felt that it's going to be.
And
your
perhaps the reason is because there's the mention of the hot, sticky night, and I definitely can relate to that. There are many, many hot, sticky nights that I lived through. And the lion reminds me of my cat Coco, or our cat Coco, and how he will sometimes just come to the middle of the night and just park himself right next to us, there,
Yes.
sleeping,
And
breathing into our face.
wants to play in the middle of the night.
Yep.
Just the difference is in size, by the way.
The difference is in size, absolutely. Little Coco is about yay big, and the lion is, well, the lion size.
And how we can relate it is we got Coconut when he was a baby, and Sheikh Mohammed got the lion when it was a cub. So he is used to him. I would get scared if Coconut comes to my face in the middle of the night, but then I realize, it's just Coco. So it's exactly the same thing. You get used to the animal, you have that connection with the animal, and how to actually, like speak to the animal or understand it, how to connect with the animals.
So to close finally, I'd like to just reiterate the importance of story reading for the family. So this can be one or both parents reading stories to their children at bedtime to help them go to sleep. This can also be a group activity where the family gets together, brings their favorite storybooks, and everybody reads from their favorite stories. But another activity that I wanted to encourage everyone to remember to do and to see the value of is, of course, family meal times. Okay, and family meal times are a cornerstone of a healthy household. We live our busy lives. Moms and dads go to work, kids go to school. We have breakfast, we have lunch, and we have dinner. And those are the 3 times where we can get together, eat together, and share the stories of our day. Perhaps breakfast is not the share the stories type of time because everybody's still waking up, but we can wish each other good luck. We can wish each other a good day. We can start the day with the spirit of familyness.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Perhaps it's not always possible to do all 3. However, family mealtime is one of the most important cornerstones of a healthy, happy family. And it gives you the opportunity to segue into story reading time.
Exactly. Very
Right?
true.
Just before the after meal nap. So this has been a pleasure. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for following along. I'm Nasser Al-Riyami and my wife Safiya Al-Hashmi.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I enjoyed reading the books myself.
So let us know what else you'd like us to do as well. If there are any more stories that you'd like us to read for you. Until we meet again, have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.